Well, hi everyone. Thanks for joining. It's great to see you here. Lots of names there that we recognise. So great to see you join us. This is the first of a series of webinars that we want to do, probably on the second Wednesday of every month, and make it a regular thing. So, topics, ideas, anything you want to chuck across to us, we'll think about it and see if we can do it. So, in this one, we want to dive into why traditional change efforts fall short, I suppose, and really what neuroscience reveals about leading sustainable transformation. Okay, so let me share screens. We are going to share a slide, but it's not going to be a presentation per se. What we are going to try and do is just use it as a bit of a guide, so you guys have got something to look at, and we've got a bit of a guide to make sure we cover the right points. So, super. Here we go then. Let's make a start. So this is the subject, right? Neuroscience behind change failure rates. Now, we all heard the statistics, right? 70% of change fails, and we know that that's 70 to 90, and there's lots of arguments about how do you define failure. But really, we've got decades and decades of training, resources, planning, intelligent people out there trying to lead change. So it's not really about intelligence or effort. A lot of people put a lot of effort in, but we've still got this issue with change not sticking, right? So what's going on? There's got to be something that we can understand. So, I mean, Levent, what? Just kick us off. What's going on? What's missing?
Yes. Yes, if you ask the question like this, of course, I think the reason depends on the place, depends on the company and the context. And there may be millions of reasons behind this failure, but at least we know one fact. If people don't support this change initiative, change cannot be successful. Indeed, when we look at these companies in details, and observe behaviors, we frequently see some typical behaviors like resistance to change and pulling in different directions, and also misalignment, which is horrible. According to Gallup, nearly 80% of people are disengaged at work. So how can we expect them to embrace change, for example? So these are the behaviors lying behind this change failure. I think if change initiative is unable to address these behaviors, their root causes, and find a solution to these behaviors, change can never be successful or sustainable. I think it's the missing part.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, from my experience around the world, over the last 35 years, I couldn't agree more. And obviously, from our point of view, for everybody on the call, if you're not familiar, we've got this model called BTFA, right? And if we're talking about behaviors and support and not being able to lead change unless you've got the support of your people, which I think is a key phrase I've heard and learned from you, Levin, a lot. We work back from the fact that it's how people are acting and reacting, and therefore understand the feelings, the thinking, and the beliefs, the imprinted beliefs behind that. So, it's all governed by neuroscience, isn't it? There's no other source of behavior than other than an output from brain function, right? So,
Exactly.
yeah. Again, recap on what we're saying on the slide. It's not due to poor strategy. It's not due to low effort. It's not due to a lack of intellect. It's literally this understanding of human behavior. There's been a big gap in that, and to a large extent, I mean, I'm in Dubai because I've been talking at this OPEX conference, and the theme all the time now, even though there's a lot of focus on AI and technology, is that we can't afford to get the people bit wrong, because everybody's starting to wake up to the idea that it's about people. And for me, I think the fact that we've now got neuroscience and we can explain that human behavior with facts and detail. I literally said, just quickly, I'll go to the next slide in a sec just to keep on time, but I literally said in one of the talks today that we've had all the detail we need about process and systems. We've got that mantra, haven't we, in project management: people, process, and systems. And if we look at systems, we dig down and dig deeper, and we get to Python and C++ coding behind ERP systems. When we get to process and we move in metal, we know about metallurgy and atomic levels and coefficients of friction, and we get into the atomic level of detail about everything, but then we get to the people piece and we go, oh yeah, we've got an NPS score and we do a survey, right? We've got to get deeper with our knowledge. And this is the beauty of neuroscience. It gives us the capacity to do that. So, oh, hang on, I just clicked the button and nothing moved. Give me a second. There we go. So, I mean, let's expand on the subject, right? Logic is not equal to behavior. I love that at the top there. We assume we're logical creatures, but we're not, are we? We're emotional. I mean, but we're not, we try and treat people like spreadsheets, don't we? And just with that logic, and it doesn't work. Why, Levin, why doesn't it work? What's going on?
Because in most of the workplaces where we try to implement continuous improvement or lean or OPEX, we tend to use scientific methods, right? And we tend to believe that people will understand these logical methods and they will act accordingly. But we just miss one fact. Humans are not logical creatures. Humans are emotional creatures. And most of the humans behave according to what they feel, not according to what is told to them. So, as I mentioned in the previous slide, the problems look like as resistance to change, pulling in different directions and misalignment and disengagement, sorry. And unless we understand the root causes of these problems, why people behave the way they do, we cannot find a solution. So there should be a reason uh, behind this. Even though you give very clear strategies, processes, instructions, and standards, sometimes people just don't follow it. And there should be a reason. Unless we understand that reason, we cannot create an environment where people will embrace change. And if you look deeper, why people behave the way they do, there are some feelings, as we mentioned, behind their actions. And behind their feelings, there are some thoughts. They are thinking about something which is causing them to feel bad, right? And their beliefs are affecting what they think and feel. So beliefs are at the root of everything. Unless we have an idea about what they feel and what they believe and why, we cannot change anything.
It's like that old physics lesson we did at O level. It's everything's got an equal and opposite reaction if it abides by the laws of physics, right? Newtonian relativistic physics, whatever else it might be. But humans aren't. We're designed to abide by the laws of biology, right? And so if you push people, they sometimes will exponentially push back with more force to defend themselves because they're scared, and we don't take that into consideration. And I mean, it says on the screen, people don't change because we tell them to. And like you've just explained, it's more about shifting beliefs. And if we assume, we'll get onto the BTFA model in a bit more detail in a minute, but if we assume beliefs are a wiring pattern, and again, chucking the neuroscience a little bit, we know that wiring changes through processes called neurogenesis and neuroplasticity. And we can actually, the really exciting bit, have some agency over that. We can choose to change our brains in directions which we want. Then it's that kind of says, is that hint, isn't there, that says, hang on a minute, if brains change and we can find the mechanism, we can find a way to change them, then that's the root cause. And I mean, we're engineers, right? A lot of us in this space. And we want to get to that engineering, logic, science-based explanation of emotions so we can understand a process to change it. And I think that's what neuroscience gives us, which is really encouraging because as far as I'm concerned, I think it's the missing piece that we haven't had in the world of whether it's lean, Six Sigma, agile, change management, leadership. There's been a jigsaw puzzle piece missing, and we wondered why we can't see the complete picture. And for me, this is what fills the gap. Anyway, let's move on to another image on the screen. I keep pressing things and it's not working. Bear with me. Super. So, I mean, here we want to sort of introduce whoever's listening to the BTFA model a little bit more. It's Levin, I've done a lot of talking just there. Jump in for me, mate, and explain a little bit.
Yes, we were saying that most of the time leaders are failing to connect with brains and fail to understand why people behave the way they do. For example, if people are disengaged or they are pulling in different directions, there should be some reasons, right? And as we said, these reasons are related to what they believe. So we need to find a way to understand what they believe and why, and what caused that belief, so that we can create an environment in which those beliefs can change. This is the only way to change behavior. So not only us or mid-level management or top-level management, but all the managers in the organization should be able to handle beliefs this way. They should have a simple tool to understand, analyze the behaviors so that they can deal with them. So can we ask all of them, all of the managers, directors, senior leadership teams, and team leaders, for example, managing frontline, to study philosophy and psychology and to understand and analyze behaviors? It is not possible. So we should give them a simple, scientific, and beneficial tool that they can use. And this is the tool we have created for them, BTFA. BTFA means believe, think, feel, act. We think and feel according to what we believe, and we act according to what we feel. This is the model. This is exactly based on a cause and effect model. This is exactly how our brains produce behavior. So if you understand the mechanism, you can also handle behaviors, because you can understand beliefs and you can create environments to shift them, to change them. So this is our model, and this is what it means.
And that's the point, isn't it? I think it's about, we talk about behaviors and it's a really subjective, loose word. What, and we've got so many words in our language like that, like culture and change, and everybody interprets each one differently. But there is a cause and effect mechanism at a biological level that can be understood behind behaviors, right? And the thing is, we haven't had access to that up until about 15 years ago when neuroscience really advanced. But we have got it now. And the irony of it all is that it's brain function that stops people adopting new things, right? And the neuroscience is a new thing in the world of change. And so what we see is quite a lot of people out there that are invested in change management, the way it's been promoted up to date, to pushing back on the idea that neuroscience has even got a place, which is quite funny because it's their brain that's making them think that, and we could explain why their brains putting these barriers up to progress. But they're never going to listen until they get past it. So it's a bit of a catch-22. But it really is cause and effect. There is a binary system almost where, neurons, like there's this representation on the screen, they do send signals from to one another, and it's all detailed and catalogued now. We can show what it is, what's going on. But I'm just thinking about, can we link it to real life for people? I mean, we've got building case studies, right? We've got some really good ones. But going back years, I can talk to, Eurofilter, which was a company up in Mansfield. They had been making losses for 5 years. They'd had 3 different sets of large consulting companies come in, teaching them lean tools and techniques. And as the story goes, it happened before I got there. But, the guys on the shop floor, when the last set of consultants left, who had been flown over by a corporate group from the States to do the same thing that they'd been taught twice before in the last 5 years of loss-making history, they ripped all the 5S boards off the wall and threw them in the skip and said, "Of the consultants gone, now we can get back to do some real work." So, quite often we talk about the neuroscience of engagement and connection. And that just goes to show that a lot of what we do, that we put under the banner of best practice that you see delivered by leaders and consultants, really disengages people. So, I was called in and a BTFA was in a sort of more remedial form then, but still taught the leadership team pretty much, what we're teaching people now, in just in a much more efficient way today. And we saw a phenomenal shift in year, mid-recession, 63% 64% EBITDA improvement, got them out of a loss-making situation, grew sales by 7%, all because everything changed around the engagement piece and the way people were being valued and getting them engaged. But I mean, what other ones is worth mentioning while we're talking about real life case studies, Levent?
Yeah, we can give an example from one of our experiences with a Toyota subsidiary. It was a 100% Toyota company operating outside Japan. They called me one day because I am a Toyota engineer formerly. They called me and asked a question, how can we remove fear? Which is a very, very critical question because they are aware that the fear is impactful on culture. And due to their regional and some other constraints, that conditions brought that questions into their mind. And we started to work together. We implemented this BTFA concept and we made interviews with all of the supervisors and leaders in the line. And in 1 year, altogether, we were able to improve the opinion satisfaction ratio in the company or engagement ratio in the company by 12%, which was a very, very good score, which is impacting all of their output.
I'd say a very good score is a bit of an understatement. If you've got a Toyota subsidiary that are renowned for getting engagement right, and we see an in-year 12% shift in their engagement score, they were using Great Place to Work survey, weren't they?
Yes.
That's pretty phenomenal. And I guess, just without blowing our own trumpet too much, we should mention what Philip Holt achieved at GKN Aerospace as well, because ultimately, after a few years and us introducing BTFA to their global change team that he put together to lead the initiative for the Melrose brothers. I think it was JP Morgan Casanova that reported in the Times like a £410 million ROI on the change program. And Philip was gracious enough to say that, it wouldn't have been the same without BTFA. He got that engagement. He did a webinar with us, didn't he, saying that we've codified emotions so even engineers and accountants understand them, which was a great quote. But really what it meant is that the regional lean directors that were employed to lead change in all the different facilities around the world approached it with a BTFA mindset, and as a result got much better traction, much better buy-in, and faster, better results. So, I mean, it does work. We have got, other clients that we can't talk about yet, but, building case studies. So why don't we tell the people on the call what it looks like? Because I'm not sure everybody knows exactly what we take people through. Do you want to take us through that, mate?
Yes, we only have 2 minutes, so I'll be quick. At the center of what we are doing, at the center of our services, we have BTFA online course, which is an online course. It requires a time commitment of about 15 to 20 hours. And with this course, we are aiming to shift beliefs about the root cause of the problems that we mentioned. And simply, we are trying to improve employee engagement at work, which is the biggest problem, biggest obstacle in front of change. We can give you more information about this course. Also, we are providing some services like consultancy, master coach program, etc. If you are interested in neuroscience of fixing these problems, please contact us. Can we continue, David? Because we also have some questions.
Yeah, let's go to the questions, shall we? I know you've had a look at the
Yeah.
ones submitted ahead of time. Over to you, mate, for the questions.
Okay, how long does BTFA take to embed? This is a strong product which you can use to shift your beliefs and culture. It takes only about 6 weeks to shift behaviors with this online program. And also, I have some questions pre-recorded coming from you. I have a question from Sherif Salah from IFFCO. How neuroscience helps in obtaining the buy-in and facilitates the change? Neuroscience has some advantages over experience and over psychology because it removes the ambiguity and complexity of the language used in psychology. Neuroscience facts are testable, repeatable in the lab. So using neuroscience makes it more believable, easily believable, because it's so credible and simple. Another question from Marta Previtt, how to address the fear for transformation? As I've said, it is the biggest obstacle in front of change. So I think the best way is to understand how fear impacts brain. So if brains are impacted that way, they cannot perform properly. So if leaders understand these facts with this raised awareness, they will be more sensitive to remove fear from the organization. This is the way we follow in our BTFA online course story. And our time is up. I think, David, we need to summarize these questions and return back to our participants in time
We will.
about what do we think about these questions.
Well, I know Mark had one about neurodiversity as well, and then couldn't join us for the call today. So we'll get in touch with people where a separate chat's required or answer via email. But, you know, to be lean about it and finish on time, we said 20 minutes, we better stick to it and finish just in time. So, I mean, huge thanks to everybody that's joined us. You know, first one, absolutely exhausted from Dubai, and hopefully it went across okay. So thanks, Ilka. Thanks. Nice to hear from you, mate. And look forward to being in touch with everybody. And do join us again in a month's time for another one. And we'll have another quick 20-minute blast of stuff about neuroscience and how it can help you change in your business. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to hit the stop button now. See you all soon. Cheers. Bye.